everyone, this is Mel Stevens and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope everyone's well today and looking forward to today's video. So today I'm going to be covering the topic of the guide dog harness, what it's for, how it's useful to me as a guide dog handler, and some sort of, rules and do's and don'ts and things like that when you are in public facing a situation where you have a person with a guide dog and their dog is in harness, and also a few kind of tips about using your guide dog in its harness that I find really useful and have found really helpful as well through my journey as a guide dog handler. So let's get into the video.
Hi, this is Mel Stevens. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My guide dog Darcy and I would like to teach you all about blindness. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and get all of my updates.
Is why a guide dog uses and wears its harness and what the guide dog harness is for. So to do that, I need to show you Darcy's harness. So I've got Darcy's equipment here beside me, and Darcy is also here because he's going, "Oh, you have my harness. What is going on?" So he's here and very interested. So there's a couple of main components to the harness, and I will tell you about those. I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do a video all about my guide dog equipment and accessories, so keep an eye out for that one. But today we're just going to focus on his harness. So the harness has a couple of different parts to it. The first part on the top is this leather bit that you guys can see right now. This is the body of the harness. Okay, this white bit here at the front, this is the bit that goes on his chest. And the reason why it's white is because it has reflective strips on it, so it can be seen in the dark. And then underneath that is the belly strap. So that is where the harness does up in a clip and is therefore secured on the dog's body. And then at the back of the harness, we have this long metal bit here, and this is the handle. And you can see it has two long metal shafts and a soft leather bit at the end, and this is where my hand goes. And then the last part of Darcy's harness, which I've taken off just for this demonstration, is this soft orange sign, which I'm sorry guys, I'm not sure which way up it goes. It has words written on it. I will write in the description down below what the words are because I can't remember. It basically is a sign that says, you know, don't distract the dog because he's working. So that is the harness itself. So the reason for the harness is kind of twofold. The most important reason for the harness for me as my dog's handler is because the purpose of the handle is this is how I feel what my dog is doing and how he guides me. So basically what happens is because the harness is on his body, the harness moves with his body, and the feedback of his body movements comes up through the harness handle into my hand. So I can feel when he turns left or right. I can feel when he goes up or down an incline. I can feel when he goes around something, and I can also feel when he goes up and down stairs. He is actually trained to put his front paws on the first step so that I can feel how large the step is and whether it's an up or down step before we proceed. So being able to follow your dog is really important when using a guide dog, because if you can't follow your dog properly and accurately, you will struggle to remain safe, because if your dog's trying to squeeze you through a narrow gap, and if you go too far away from your dog out to the right, you might hit your right shoulder or something on a pole or another person or whatever your dog's trying to navigate you around. So following the dog and feeling the dog's movement through the harness handle is a very important and essential part of the guide dog harness. So the other thing about a guide dog harness is access. When a guide dog is wearing its harness, it is allowed to go everywhere with its handler. He is allowed to go in coffee shops, on public transport, in shopping centres, shops including food shops and supermarkets, in taxis, on aeroplanes, to the cinema, to the theatre, to the local swimming pool. He's allowed to go everywhere with this harness on. The only places that he's not allowed to go with this harness on are some parts of hospitals, such as operating theatres, intensive care units, and possibly the burns unit in some hospitals. And he's also probably either not allowed or advised not to go to zoos and national parks, and that sort of depends on your state and the rules regarding that where you are. I personally wouldn't take him to a zoo or a national park anyway, regardless of whether he was allowed or not. So that is the reason, that is another thing that the harness is really important for, is for access. As I said, when a guide dog is wearing its harness, it is allowed to go everywhere. But a guide dog also carries another form of identification, which I do need to touch on here. It isn't exactly relevant to the harness, but it does carry another form of identification. And Darcy's very excited once again because I have his leash here. And so that second part of identification, which is really important to the guide dog, is his guide dog medallion, which I hope you guys can see. So that is Darcy's guide dog medallion. It has the logo of his guide dog school, which is Guide Dogs Victoria. I'm pretty sure it's got, I know it's got some writing on it, but I don't know exactly what the writing says. It'll have his guide dog number and possibly a bit of information saying that this is a certified guide dog and you know that it has public access rights. So that is his guide dog tag. He is technically not allowed anywhere in public if he is only wearing that tag and not his harness. So that's kind of about what the harness and that is used for. So now I'm going to cover some answers to some questions that I get asked a lot about Darcy's harness. So one of the main things is, when does Darcy wear his harness? What do you need it for? So Darcy wears his harness when he is guiding me and when we're out in public accessing places such as shops and public transport and things like that. I can take Darcy for a walk like a normal dog, say around the block for example, without his harness. But if I do that, I must use another primary mobility aid, such as take sighted guide from a sighted companion or use my long cane. Another question that I get asked is if Darcy needs to wear his harness when I'm at home. So basically, as soon as Darcy and I get home from going to a coffee shop, going to do work at Vision Australia, that sort of thing, his harness comes off, he puts his play collar on, and he is just a regular dog. I don't need to use my guide dog around my home, and it's very important for a guide dog to have that time out of harness where he can relax and just be a normal dog, because when he's got that harness on, he's in work mode, his concentration levels goes up, and he is working very hard and concentrating very hard. So it's very important that he has that time off. So no, his harness comes off when I'm at home, and I don't need to use him at home. Things like checking the letterbox, going out and taking the washing on and off the line, that sort of thing, I don't need to use him for that. If I do feel a little bit uncomfortable, say for example, there are some tripping hazards walking down my driveway, and I know I don't walk straight when I try and walk down my driveway, so to fix that issue I will use a long cane instead. And another question that I get asked a lot, which I think is kind of a bit of a funny one, but I suppose I can understand why people ask, it's, can you take your dog's harness off independently? Some people seem to think that I have a carer to do everything, and that taking my dog's harness off is one of those things. Yes, I can take my dog's harness off independently. It's probably the first thing that you learn in guide dog class, is how to put your dog's harness on and take it off in a safe and controlled manner without injuring the dog or frightening the dog or injuring yourself, because believe me when I say that clip on the side of his harness does hurt if you get your fingers stuck in it. So now I'm going to share with you guys a few tips and things that I personally find useful for when I'm working my dog in harness, and a few little rules about it. So obviously when your dog is in harness, they are at work, and therefore people in the general public are not to interact with that dog and therefore distract the dog, because that could put me as the blind person handling that dog into danger. If someone starts calling my dog, talking to him, interacting with him in any way, I might walk into a pole or fall downstairs or something because my dog isn't concentrating. So don't distract a working guide dog when it's in harness. You can by all means talk to the handler and say, oh, I like your dog, you know, what's his name and that sort of thing. One of my top rules with guide dog handling is that I would like to say to everyone, when someone asks when someone you have asked tells you their guide dog's name, please don't turn to the dog and go, hello, Darcy. Because as you just heard, that makes him wag his tail and get really excited and everything. And even that little tiny bit of hello, Darcy, can distract your dog when it's in harness. So please, by all means, if someone does tell you the name of their guide dog, please don't turn around and talk to them and use their name. Please just continue to talk to the guide dog handler and don't talk to the dog. That's probably my main pet peeve, is when people find out his name and turn to him and use their, I call it their baby voice, and talk to my dog. So that is one of the main things. The other thing that I want to say, like regarding people talking to your dog and that, is you may come across situations where other people have to talk to your dog when it is in harness. The other day, on Tuesday, I'm posting this video on Sunday, so 5 days ago on Tuesday, I was sent to hospital for reasons that we don't need to go into here. Yes, I'm okay now, thank you. And we had a situation where Darcy had to go to the bathroom, but of course, because I was in hospital, I couldn't take Darcy's harness off for him to then go and be taken out by one of the lovely ambulance officers who took me to hospital. I couldn't then go and take his harness off for her to take him out to the toilet. So what I had to do in that situation, everyone, was I had to leave his harness on and let him go to the bathroom with this lady. So it's important that when you are given a choice, if you are a member of the public, when that kind of situation happens, and you need to assist a friend of yours who does have a guide dog to do something with their dog, and their dog is still in harness, it's very important that you only interact with that dog when it's in harness when the handler gives you permission, and when the handler says to you, yes, you may take him out to the toilet, or asks you to do something with him. It's very important then, when you do return the dog to its handler, that you don't continue to interact with it, so that it can return to concentrating for its handler. So that's really important. And I'm very fussy, everyone, about who gets to talk to Darcy and interact with Darcy when he's in harness. I don't like people talking to him when he's in harness, and I actually think that people who do get that chance should feel very lucky, because I'm not a fan of letting people pat my dog when he's in harness. I'm a big stickler for the rules when it comes to that. And the thing is, with this particular dog, Darcy is such a people person, and he's just, he's always looking for a scratch under the ears, a scratch under the chin, a belly rub, all that kind of thing. I'm being distracted by a cat. He's always looking for attention. So I'm very, very careful about who I let interact with Darcy and when I let them interact with him, because I know that he is just such a people person, and he's so easily influenced by people who want to pat him. So I'm gonna just quickly now give you my top kind of 3 or 4 tips about when I've got Darcy in harness and when I need to do things with him. So my number 1 tip is when I'm toileting him. When I'm toileting him, when I'm out and I am using him as a guide, I'm not just out for a general walk with him, I always take his harness off. I don't like letting him relieve in harness. My second tip for when Darcy is in harness is he likes to jump up on my lap for cuddles, and I don't let him do that when he's in harness. My third thing for when Darcy's in harness that I don't let him do is I try not to let him interact with his toys, or his toys, because sometimes he can get very toy distracted. And when I was first had him for only a couple months, I did have a situation one day where I put his harness on, and I was about a quarter of the way up the driveway, and I realised that he had a toy in his mouth. So that's a bit awkward. And I think my fourth top tip for things that I don't let Darcy do when he's in harness is I don't tend to let him interact with other dogs, especially pet dogs. That's just not on at all. But I tend not to let him interact with other guide dogs as well, even dogs that he knows, because once again, it's that distraction thing, and you really don't want your dog getting distracted by even another guide dog, because that can put yourself and the handler of the other dog into danger. Okay everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this video about guide dog harnesses and guide dog handling in harness and everything like that. I hope you understand. I feel like I've been rabbiting for ages. So I hope you understand everything that I've been trying to tell you in this vlog. Also guys, I want you to let me know what you think of me filming in my bedroom and the positioning of the camera and the lighting and everything. I am actually shooting this on Saturday evening about 7 o'clock. So I want to know how you guys feel about the lighting and whether you guys have any constructive criticism, feedback, whatever you want to call it, about my new camera position and everything. I am trying out different things. I'm hoping to go and get a tripod for my phone so that I don't have to balance things in weird places and panic that they're going to fall. Right now my iPad is actually sitting with its bottom in the track for my window, for my bedroom window. So yes, I am very scared about this. So yeah, I'm hoping to find a tripod in the next few days to put my camera on, so that I can start doing a bit more filming like this in my sit down videos, and sort of be able to show my whole face and things like that. So I'm hoping to get that organized soon. So anyway everyone, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you've learned something, and I hope that next time you see a guide dog in its harness, you'll have a bit more understanding of why it's wearing its harness and the significance of that dog's harness to its handler. Thanks for watching everyone, and also I'd like to have a big shout out to some of my new subscribers. We've gone up to 60, I think we're about 63 or 64 subscribers on this channel now, so yay! Thank you everyone for subscribing. I hope you share my channel with your family and friends to help us get more subscribers, because I want to do another Q&A when we reach 100. So I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.